Hey everyone, I'm gonna try to make this one fast because I got lots to do. I got my car back. For those that watched my last video, remember I had a broken car, and guess what? It's still broken. But I cannot. They don't have the part. They have to order it, and I'm like, well, I need to drive in the meantime. So they said I can continue to drive it, and they'll just call me and let me know when it's ready. And as I said, it was gonna. I thought it was gonna be $1,600 last time. Last time on my last video, I said it was gonna be up around 1,600, a little over that. And yeah, I wasn't accounting for taxes, so I'm gonna count. I'm gonna pay like almost 2,000, just under 2,000, like 1,800, more or less. Anyways, I just got done listening to Robert F. Kennedy. He finally made it official. He announced that he's running for president. You know, he had a speech. He gave a speech, and boy, it was a long speech. It was 2 hours. Nah, it wasn't 2 hours. Almost 2 hours. About an hour 50 minutes. Hour 45. And yeah, he's people are motivated for this guy, man. And you know, I listened to it, part of it at work, and on my way back from work, I listened to it some more, to his speech, and he did pretty well. He's pretty substantive. Oh, I'm having trouble with that word. Substantive. Substantive. Jesus. Substantive. You know what I'm trying to say. Pretty substance filled speech. He went long on it. Like, he only spoke about like 4 different issues, 6 different issues, you know. He spoke about corporate pollution, you know, corruption. He spoke on the Ukraine war. He spoke about, I think one of his main things, you know, they say he's like anti-vax and all that, and he spoke a little bit about that. He didn't really say much about vaccines. He did spoke about big pharma. He did mention kids with autism, and he certainly is different from Marianne. The way Marianne is like more snappy to the point, but he does give like a lot of context. One of the habits that I'm into is listening to the president of Mexico, you know, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. I'm sure I said this before, but if you didn't catch it when I said it the first time, AMLO does like a 5 hours. I mean, not 5 hours. 5 days a week, like daily, five days a week. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, press conferences, and you know, the reporters ask him really difficult questions a lot of times, but he is very well organized and that kind of thing. But when he gives his answers to the press, he goes long too. Like, AMLO takes his time talking. Like, he talks like this, and he pauses like I'm pausing right now. You'll probably get like 10 words out of him per minute. I don't know, maybe it's a little more than that, but that's how AMLO talks. And but anyways, he gives long answers, and they're good answers, but he puts in like a lot of context. He says like, to give you a proper answer, you got to give you text, you gotta have context or something like that. Anyways, this is not about AMLO, but listening to our Robert F. Kennedy, listening to RFK give his speech, he sort of reminded me of AMLO, the way AMLO gives his answers. And his actually no, AMLO, when he gives an actual speech, I think he speaks more. He pauses less anyway, and because he has his material written down already, he knows what he's gonna say. And when he's speaking to the press, he's like speaking off the cuff, I guess, and so I guess he takes longer to give the proper context and pick the right words, etc. So maybe that's why, but it sort of reminded me of AMLO, the way RFK spoke. But anyways, yeah. And I really like his platform. I said it's hard to call it a platform, but I certainly do agree with him about the pollution, and the lobbyists of corporate money just running Washington. And boy, I'm telling you, he gave like a lot of context for, like, he was to make his points across, to get his points across. He was giving a lot of backstory. He's a Kennedy, so he has a lot of, his family has a long history in American politics. He spoke about his uncle, John F. Kennedy, his dad, Robert F. Kennedy. He did express concern about how divided we are as a country. It's just the two parties, and I'm guilty of that. I'm off the left, and I do fight a lot with people of the right who want to fuck with transgender people and with women's rights, and have no empathy for immigrants, that have nothing on their backs. And so, yeah, I fight with conservative America, with conservative voters about that. Like, I guess we're never gonna agree on that, man. I'm not okay with that. And I'm not even the biggest ally of these groups, the LGBT people, women's groups, and all that. Like, I'm not like a very committed, like, I'm very not very vested into this kinds of social issues. But I guess what triggers me is when you start fucking with them. Just leave people alone. They're not fucking with you. They're not telling you how to worship. They're not telling you to stop worshiping, or when you can or not worship your God, or preach, whatever. They're not trying to censor conservatives in that form. And I always say is keep church and state separate. And excuse me, I don't even care if they trash talk people. Like, yeah, whatever, you don't like LGBT people, you don't like trans people, whatever, you can say whatever you want. But when they start passing laws, and physically and tangibly harm people with these kinds of laws, that's when I get worried, and I start smelling fascism. So anyways, Kennedy is worried about this kind of dynamic that's going on in our country. Like I said, I'm guilty, whatever, but he made the point that he can unite us, at least for the most part. And he used his father, Robert F. Kennedy Sr., I guess, his father's background on that, gave the backstory. I'm not even gonna try to retell that story. I don't want to be here 2 hours like he almost did, trying to explain his background. But yeah, I overall, I recommend, if you're really considering for a different alternative other than Joe Biden, give RFK a lesson. I do like his platform. I already know he's for Julian Assange, so yeah, he's definitely not my last choice on the Democratic side. Right now, Joe Biden is my last choice. I did like his answer on Ukraine. He gave a good answer and a little surprising because I thought he was going to be like vehemently against helping Ukraine, and no, he gave a good answer. Like, yeah, we want to help Ukraine because we're good people. He says we empathize with the people of Ukraine, the kid, the average Ukrainian person out there that has to endure all this shelling and just the bloodshed going on there. He's no fan of Putin, so I think he's striking the right balance there, and he I'm for Marianne Williamson. That's my candidate. But one thing where I think one part where I think Marianne is not being very clear is how, because she says she supports Ukraine, but she also says that she doesn't approve of the way that we're just throwing money at Ukraine right now, and so she supports aiding Ukraine, but I guess she wants more checks, more checks and balances, more strings attached. Freaking have an audit, see where all these weapons and money are going. And if you've been hearing about the leaked documents on the whole Ukraine and all these other countries, I mean, it's hard. I don't know, why don't we have freaking a tab on Ukrainian leadership, because apparently we don't trust them. We've been spying on them too, even though we're their allies. So, excuse me, I need water. But anyways, RFK, like I said, he went long, but he there was substance in his speech. It was a long speech, man, but there was substance in it, definitely. Substantive. There we go. Anyways, I think he gave the answer that he made his position on Ukraine the way I think Marianne feels, but to his credit and to her discredit, he has given an answer now. Like, this is a clear position on Ukraine. Yeah, he doesn't approve of the proxy war. He says that we're in a proxy war with Russia and that Ukraine is our pawn. He does not like that dynamic. He doesn't approve that our government is trying to do regime change in Russia. He compared it to regime change that we did in Iraq. Look how well that turned out. How about Libya? That's my contribution. I don't think he said anything about Libya, but that's another example we can look at. So yeah, I definitely like him. Marianne Williamson is my candidate, and I think her and him, they have a lot in common in their platforms. But yeah, I would be lying if I didn't say that he has the edge right now. Like, I was listening to Cristobal and Sagar and Jetty, the breaking points. I was listening to them talk about Robert F. Kennedy. Last I heard about him, he was at 10% on the polls, and they were just talking about him. And I don't know what poll they were talking about, but apparently he's at 14% in some other poll now. So yeah, I mean, the man definitely's got steam, man. Even much to our chagrin, us Marianne Williamson supporters, he's gaining more steam than we do right now, and I'm sure a lot of it is the name recognition, I guess, because Marianne Williamson, she was famous from what I hear, but not in the world of politics as much. And he's a Kennedy. Who does not know the Kennedys? You learn about the Kennedys and freaking, when did I hear the Kennedys for the first time? I think I was in junior high. First time I heard the last name Kennedy. It's just they're a famous family in politics, especially in Democratic politics, Democratic Party politics. So yeah, but like I said before, apparently this whole TikTok thing. By the way, I hear that one of Marianne's most ardent supporters, I heard two of the pro Marianne Williamson accounts that had like thousands of subscribers on these accounts on TikTok, they were banned or taken down because apparently they were spammed by Biden supporters somehow. I don't know how that happens. I don't even know how that works. How the algorithm allows that kind of behavior. I don't know if it's true, because I did ask, like, how do we know it was the Biden supporters that did this to Marianne's these two pro Marianne Williamson accounts, because they're not Marianne's accounts. She doesn't run them, but they're, people make their own accounts in support of a candidate. So yeah, so that's a worry, because, and I mean, nothing would surprise me anymore, really. Like, who are these pro Biden supporters that would engage in that kind of a dirty politics, Because apparently they didn't violate these two accounts. They did not violate any terms of service on TikTok. But I guess enough people complain about them, and I mean, that is suspicious if they're not violating any terms of service. And the only evidence is that the only reason they can be given is that so many people complain about them. Well, I mean, why would you complain about it unless you're an anti-Marianne Williamson? I guess, I mean, there's people who hate Biden and hate Marianne Williamson. So maybe some people did that, but I don't think they would. I don't think they dislike Marianne Williamson to that point where they want to sabotage her supporters like that, or silence supporters like that. But I guess, I don't know. Stranger things have happened, I guess. But back to Kennedy, 14% apparently, according to Crystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty. He's definitely got steam behind him, and we need to catch up to the guy. And yeah, Marianne Williamson needs to give a more clear response on what her intentions are if she ever reaches the White House. What would she do with the whole Ukraine and Russia story? I haven't heard her give her reaction or say anything about Ukraine since those documents leaked either. So she's definitely strong on domestic policy, though. Just like Kennedy, like, she's talking about big pharma and making our population sick with over medication and stuff like that, and for profit and stuff like that. Things like that. Big polluters polluting our water, our soil, our air, etc. Our freaking groceries being pumped with chemicals, so they can last longer and make more profit. Very similar platforms, I think. Her and Robert F. Kennedy. He takes longer to give his answers. She's way more snappy, more to the point. I think I like the way she speaks better too, honestly. I mean, I don't mind a long speech, but yeah, I think she can pack it in quicker, I guess, and also have an impact on you if you care to listen to either of them anyway. But yeah, she did mention Robert F. Kennedy. She spoke at some university in New Hampshire, and she briefly mentioned, like, well, nobody else is doing this, and she's like, well, now Bob is, she says, and I welcome him. So, man, I hope more people get in. Whatever. Like, I don't know why everybody's trying to wait for Biden. I'm still 50-50 on Joe Biden. I keep saying, like, I don't think it's a for sure thing. It's a for sure thing that Biden is going to get in. I think he knows his limitations. He's obviously having trouble cognitively. If to me, that's what it looks like. Didn't he say what was his last gaffe in Ireland? Let's lick the world or something like that. Like, he didn't do that 8 years ago, even 5 years ago. He would speak more clearly, and He just seemed sharper, man. And so I think he's having a decline that's like a health decline. I don't care, it's like that's when people start throwing that, oh, you're being an ageist and whatever ableist or something like that. It's just a matter of fact, man. Like, some people start having, health decline symptoms or signs of health decline at a very old age, sometimes even sooner. I mean, I think Bernie's older than Biden, isn't he? I would vote for Bernie, but Bernie he just seems more sharper than Biden when he speaks. So it's not ageism, it's just when you're not speaking, like Dianne Feinstein too, like they were calling Ro Khanna sexist and ageist because she's not there to do her job, and apparently she's holding back all these court nominees, judges, nominated judges to court positions. She needs to be there to vote for them, and nothing happens. Judges that could help with the whole war on abortion rights. So all Ro Khanna said is she should resign because she's not doing her job, and it's really affecting government. It's affecting the priorities of her own voters. So why I don't know what her freaking deal is, man. Like, lady, you're obviously, what do they call it? It's a dementia. Like, she's having clear signs of not remembering people that she's known for 15, 20 years. She's freaking 89 years old. Like, what is your end goal? You've been in power forever. You did your part. Just retire, man. Don't you have family to spend your last moments with? Why would you want to stay in office? I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the same problem with that lady. I think she's directly to blame for the 6-4 conservative Supreme Court majority right now. She should have retired during Obama's years, but nope. She wanted to stick it out, and she happens to drop dead when Trump is president. And because Mitch McConnell is a hypocrite and not pro-democracy, he had no problem replacing her in less than a year. Unlike, that was the excuse that he used to not accept Merrick Garland as Obama's nominee, if everyone recalls that whole dilemma. Anyways, check out, if you have 2 hours to spare, go check out Robert F. Kennedy. I gotta run into the hardware store because I got a toilet that is leaking from the base, and I need to repair that. Ciao.